Let's bring in our political editor, Beth Rigby. Beth, when is a U-turn not a U-turn?
This is a U-turn, and it's quite a massive one, in that for months the government have been saying it will not move on the winter fuel allowance decision. You remember at the last budget, Rachel Reeves said, as part of her hard decisions to stabilise the economy, that she was going to cut winter fuel allowance for pensioners. It has been extremely controversial ever since, and for months the Chancellor and the Prime Minister have been saying we will not move on this. But 2 weeks ago, Number 10 insiders were still insisting that the policy would stand. But as this has been publicly fronted up, behind the scenes, there has been an awful lot of politics going on. Just on the policy, what the Prime Minister said there was that they will look at it again in a fiscal event. And so how I'm reading that, we have no detail, but he's clearly announcing there that they are going to change the policy come the budget in the autumn. And I imagine what they will do is change the thresholds. So to quote him, more pensioners are eligible. They will say that's not a U-turn, it's adapting the policy, but it certainly is a U-turn on the position of insisting that this policy would not change. And they have quite simply bowed to political pressure. What's going on politics-wise? Number one, they have a sulphurous party at the moment. There are dozens of MPs who are completely rattled by the local election results, the polling of Labour. Keir Starmer have in his worst ever polling ratings. And they are really anxious. They're anxious about this policy. They're saying it's costing votes. They're saying it goes against Labour values, and they have been really pressurising the government to change. And they've listened to that. And then I think there's questions about Rachel Reeves and the Prime Minister. Now,
before you come to that,
okay,
let's just bring in this clip, because you said as recently as 2 weeks ago the government was standing firm.
Okay.
Well, this morning, Rachel Reeves spoke to reporters, including Sky News, and even as late as this morning said that the winter fuel policy wasn't changing. Have a listen.
Well, I do recognise the challenges that people continue to face with the cost of living. We have increased the basic state pension and new state pension by up to £470 just last month. That's a policy that the Conservative Party no longer commit to, but the Labour Party, this Labour government, absolutely recognise that we need to continue increasing the pensions that people are paid. So I do recognise the challenges that people face, but that policy stands because it was necessary to stabilise the public finances.
So at breakfast, the Chancellor says the policy stands, and at lunchtime, the Prime Minister says they're reviewing it. What's happened?
well, look, in the sort of minutiae of that, she's given herself a little bit of wriggle room there. But look, if you talk to people inside government, inside Number 10 and inside the Treasury, everyone is at pains to say that this was a decision taken jointly by the Chancellor and the Prime Minister. That's what they will try and argue. But if you look at what's been going on, this is a Chancellor that put forward this policy with the Prime Minister full square behind her on this very difficult policy politically. As the months have gone on, it's become more and more painful. It's become more and more toxic within the party, and it's become more and more toxic within the country too. There were asks for some considerations to relook at this policy. I think that came from Number 10 in recent weeks. I think they've been running focus groups and polling voters about what a change to the policy, how that might play out. And clearly our decision has been taken to do that. And that's the result of that. We see the Prime Minister standing in the Commons. But look, Jane, I don't need to tell you...
Has it been foisted upon the Chancellor by the Prime Minister?
I don't need to tell you that the optics of a Chancellor saying the policy still stands and then a Prime Minister saying at PMQs we're going to potentially change the way in which we implement it effectively a few hours later suggests that there is a split. As I say, insiders are insisting that they took the decision together. I put it to one of the allies of Rachel Reeves that this makes her look weak, that it is damaging to her, that this wounds her. And I'm told that they just say, we don't accept that, this is a joint decision. but it was her policy that she fronted up, and now it is shifting. And it's shifting because there has been such a big political backlash against it. And we know that Keir Starmer is ruthless and he will do what he needs to do if he thinks it's necessary. So I do think it's damaging for the Chancellor. I imagine that they will now front it out. But I think there's a bigger thing here as well. They are a government that have been in power for, 10 months, 11 months. They have a majority of 170 plus MPs, and now they are U-turning on policies. They are clearly divided in terms of how the government is operating, because there are leaks everywhere about winter fuel, one side saying, people saying it's not changing, and then other briefings that it is changing. There are rows over disability benefit cuts. There are stories. There's a brilliant story by Ben Riley-Smith in The Telegraph this morning suggesting that Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, is lobbying the Chancellor to raise taxes, which is a lot of what the Labour left are asking in the spending review coming up. What this points to is a government that is split and divided and infighting, and they are but 10 months into office. So I think that perhaps Number 10 will hope that the change in policy on winter fuel allowance, which has been signalled, will just calm everything down and get the team trying to move the ball up the pitch together instead of fighting and kicking each other.